What's going on, everyone? It's Living to Learn. Thanks again for tuning in, watching another one of my videos. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and hey, if you feel up to it, financial donation is always appreciated. Okay, doesn't necessarily determine whether or not you're a supporter or not. Just the fact that you're watching this, you've checked out any of my videos is a lot of help, and so I always appreciate the support. That's why I try to begin every video with just a bit of gratitude for, just even having an audience, people even, tuning into my channel, seeing what I have to say. And again, I'm always looking to make content that's going to be helpful, something that's going to be positive, forward thinking. I think about a lot of the things I talk about on here, during the week. Sometimes, from reading books, or I just have an experience, and it's just kind of comes to mind as far as what I want to say and what I want to share. And if you follow me on social media, and you can follow my Instagram page at Live to Learn Coaching. That's LIVE, the number 2, and then coaching at Live to Learn Coaching. I shared a story. I shared in my story a quote that I got from a book I'm reading. So I'm reading a couple of different books right now. One of them is a sales book. It's written by Jeb Blount. Jeb Blount, I think is how you pronounce his name, Blount. I've read a couple of his books before, and this one that I'm reading in particular is called Inked. Basically, it's giving you strategies on how to get your prospect from the prospect stage to the closing stage, right? Which is where we want to go if we're in sales, right? You have what's called a pipeline, and every pipeline represents a different step, a different level, right? And the sales process itself cannot be cheated. Otherwise, you put yourself at risk of being inconsistent. And so it's just really helpful. It's really cool, insightful. Some of the stuff is applicable. Some of it isn't necessarily for the type of sales that I do. For instance, the chapter that I'm reading right now is about qualifying prospects, right? So when I worked for other organizations, when I was in inside sales and was in charge of, again, creating my own pipeline, creating my own opportunities, right? I did a lot of cold calling, a lot of prospecting. Qualifying is definitely one of those major steps in the process, because qualifying is important because, number one, and when I say qualifying, what you're doing is you're looking to see, is this a qualified person? Does this person qualify as somebody who I can actually sell to, right? Because a lot of times, especially when you're calling businesses, right, you're going to get a receptionist, you're going to get an assistant, okay? And in the sales world, these are known as gatekeepers, right? And it's kind of funny that statement. It sounds kind of dramatic, but it really is, because certain individuals will determine whether or not you're actually going to get a chance to talk to the person that's qualified to make the decision of whether or not they want to purchase your product or service or not. So qualifying is very important. So you want to ask qualifying questions, right? Like if you have a certain type of product that has to be that only makes sense for, for instance, if you sell, let's say you sell, in-home product, right? Let's say you sell solar, okay? Well, you might go to someone's house and, you might strike up a great conversation with them, and they're actually really into what you have to offer, and, they sound interested, and so you're thinking, cool, I might be able to close, I might be able to get something going here, and then you come to find out that they don't actually own the home, right? They rent. So again, that's kind of what qualifying is. Like, is this someone that I should actually invest more time into, right? Is this someone that I'm actually going to pitch to? Because if you pitch to the person that's not qualified, and I'll raise my hand, I've done it. I've made the mistake. You get eager and anxious, especially when you're in like a inside sales outbound environment where you're making anywhere from 60 to 100 calls a day. Most of the time you're not talking to anybody, and if somebody does answer, they're hanging up on you, or they're cussing you out, Or, so anytime you get an opportunity to kind of get your foot in the door, you want to take advantage of it. And sometimes with all that excitement, right, with all that enthusiasm, you forget to qualify. You forget, like, wait a minute, am I talking to somebody who can make a decision here? Right? So that's the idea behind qualifying prospects. So in the job that I have now, I'm in outside sales. All of my leads are pre-qualified. And so believe me, that was music to my ears coming from the industry I came from. Again, not that it's not a slam dunk, right? But it's definitely not having to qualify is definitely something I don't miss, right? It's tough. It's tough. It's time consuming. You have to be patient. You have to ask the right questions. And, a lot of us want to get the end results right away. I'm just as guilty, right? I want to just hurry up and get a sale. But there are steps that you need to take. And the really good salespeople have been able to identify all those steps, and, they're able to check off their boxes. But anyway, so I'm reading this chapter right now on this book called Inked by Jeb Blount. And there was a quote, and I put it on my story yesterday in Instagram, and it says awareness, though. So let me give you, before I tell you the quote, let me give you the context of the quote. So he's talking about how his team, because he runs like a sales training team, they've gone to sales teams and they've gone into their pipelines, right? So they've gone into, like, let's say they use a database where they have, like, 300 prospects in there. And so what Jeb's team will do, they'll go in and they'll start to just filter out all the prospects that are no good, right? And he talks about how it's a humbling process, right? And it hurts to know that you're not even aware of what, you haven't even done a good job of qualifying your prospects. You've got all this extra baggage in your hanging in your pipeline that is getting in the way of people that are actually qualified and actually could possibly, purchase your product or service. But so anyway, that's the context behind what he says. And so the quote is, awareness, though, is the mother of change. I'll say it again. He says, awareness, though, is the mother of change. Right? And I thought about that. And I thought it was really cool. And I put it in my stories. When I come across a quote or something that I'm reading or something that I've heard or saw, and it really strikes me, I try to put that out there, on my channel. It's just something like, part of the content that I come up with anyway, just like the stuff here on YouTube, right? Just kind of goes along the lines of what I'm trying to do. And so I thought about that, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Now, if you've been watching my videos for some time, you might remember a few months back, I can't remember exactly how long now. And by the way, I'm pretty much, I believe I'm at a year now, or close to a year since I've been doing this. And so if you've been with me for that entire year, I just want to thank you. Shout out to you. And let's keep going for another year. But anyway, a few months back, I did a series of videos on something called the change cycle. Now, that was an idea that was derived from a book that I was reading that's co-authored by my life coach, Regine Corona, or I'm sorry, my business coach. Well, she is kind of a life coach too. She's been a counselor, great advisor. She's an awesome person. But my business coach, Regine, her and another lady co-authored a book. And in that book, they talk about an idea that they got, and they give credit to those people that came up with it. But it's called the change cycle. Basically, just the cycle that happens when we want to change, right? The first part of the change cycle is just, hey, you know what? Like, recognizing that there's something that I want to do something different, right? And so there's that awareness, right? You become aware, like wait a minute, something in what I'm doing now is keeping me from the results that I actually want to get to, right? Now, the change cycle itself is just this whole, like, kind of like this it's very like it's this cycle that we stay in unless we learn how to break out of it. Okay, so I won't get into it too much. You can go back. You're welcome to go back to my videos and check them out. I did them like consecutively. I want to say like 5-6 weeks in a row. And anyway, so most of us we basically the rundown of the change cycle is, okay, we want to change something, then we We get fed up. Now we start moving in a different direction, but because of the way our brains are wired, the shift in direction, the change in pattern, the change in habit, it sets off like an alarm in our brain. That's a survival instinct that we have in us, and now it's just a struggle of, fighting through that mental block of your mind telling you, hey, this change is actually not good for you. It's bad for you. You start to forget the emotion that came with, your initial motivation to change, and so on and so forth. It's really interesting. And so I had broke it down in a few videos back, but so I thought about it again when I read that quote. Awareness is the mother of change, right? Basically, before any change can occur, you've got to be aware that there needs to be a change that needs to happen in the first place, right? And he talks about how, it's painful to know that, hey, I haven't done a good job. Going back to the sales, the sales example, it's painful for these reps to find out, like, man, I have not done a good job of cleaning out my pipeline, basically like removing all the junk, right? Junk meaning nothing against those people. They're just they're not qualified. They shouldn't have my time if I'm trying to sell, right? Because time is money. And I'll tell you what, in inside sales, sometimes it's weeks. I've gone weeks before I even did a demo for anyone, right? And then you're still hoping to close it, right? Like, it's just you have to be efficient. You just have to be, but it requires so much time and patience and energy to do things like qualify, to do things like discovery questions, and just the sales process cannot be cheated, right? And it can get frustrating because it is time consuming, and it is it can get monotonous, and sometimes you're going to second guess yourself. Not sometimes, you're going to second guess yourself. Is this working? Is this going to produce any results? And it's kind of the same thing, right, with something else that we want to change, right? Something that we want to do different. 2023, it's still pretty fresh. We're already through January for the most part, but we're still at the beginning of the year. And I can almost guarantee you that whether yourself or someone has probably already backed up on something that said they were going to change and do differently this year. All right. Now, again, I'm not here to say, that's bad. That's, I'm not here to put you down if that's you, right? If that's us, I'm not here to knock that or put anyone down. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you realize how tough it is. You realize how hard it is to all of a sudden do a 180 and start walking in a different direction when you've been walking a certain direction for so long. It's just really tough. But awareness is the first thing, right? If awareness is the mother of change, okay, how is change birthed, right? That's the idea behind the mother of change, right? Mother will birth the child, right? The mother gives birth to that idea, to that change. But before that can happen, there needs to be awareness, right? Before that can happen, awareness must take place. And I started to think, like, how do I initiate awareness? And I thought it was a good question, and I'll put it out there for you. And by all means, the comment section is for you to respond to these questions, right? If you've gotten this far in my video, maybe you've already shut it off, right? You're like, Josh, I got 14 minutes, man. You go over that, I'm done. And I get it. I'm trying to make them, I'm not rushing to make them short, but I'm trying not to go too long because I know it's tough to sit and listen, watch. Most of us don't have that kind of time. But if you've gotten this far, think about that question. What is there a way that I can become more aware? How can I initiate awareness for my own life, my own situation? And I think, the where to start is we got to have some time to ourselves, right? We got to have some time to ourselves. There's got to be a moment in the day, morning, night, afternoon. I'm not here to advocate for either one, right? Personally, I think if you can get up earlier, you're going to make the most of your day. That's just my opinion. Doesn't have to be everyone else's. But there has to be some time in the day where we take a moment for ourselves. No cell phone, no one around, quiet time. I mean, even if it's for 10 minutes, right? A 10-minute just not thinking. 10 minutes of just relaxing, 10 minutes of just trying to clear your mind as best as you can, right? And then what are the thoughts that keep coming up? What are the things that keep coming to the surface? Maybe we can write those things down. You start to address certain things, because I'll tell you what, that surface level stuff, it goes down much deeper. Sometimes there's an issue that the surface level stuff is giving us a clue to dig down deeper, to look further in, to find out what's really going on, right? What am I unaware of that I need to be aware of, so that I can initiate that change, so that change can take place eventually. So anyway, that was just my thoughts today, and wanted to share that with you all. I appreciate you watching, appreciate your support. I'm never going to get tired of saying that, because, at the end of the day, nobody needs to watch these videos. And the fact that people are means a lot. And this is for you. So have a good one. And I'll see you in the next video.